you know, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and...
Take a better scene, it's what we're doing. Come and check it out, it's what we're all about. 561 Music!
Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben. And how are you doing, Hector? Oh, no, he's not here. So we're doing one this week without Hector because he just needs to take a day off, which is fair enough. On the weekend, we just had the most insane amount of gigs. Time of year is St. Patrick's Day, and if you listen to the podcast, you know, you've heard us talking about it. Because we're in a band that plays a lot of Irish music, all we do is play gigs around this time of year. We find it really easy to get booked, and we get to play some really, really fun gigs too. The big one that was on Sunday on St. Patrick's Day was at Paddy Mac's, and that was crazy. We played from noon all the way through until midnight. It was bonkers. Loads of people there, especially in the day. It was hammered. And then we also played, so on Thursday we played at Meg O'Malley's, which we haven't been playing there so much lately because they stopped doing music there, but they had like a special dispensation for this weekend. And then we were at the Irish Brigade on Friday, which I gotta say, I think the Irish Brigade might be our best gig at the moment. It's always full. There's always people dancing. It's really fun. And then on Saturday, we played at the Square Grouper in the day. And then in the evening, we played down at Paddy Mac's. That's a lot of shows, you know what I mean? Hector we all got pretty worn out by that. And then if you add in all the other stuff that Hector does all day long, I think he just needs a nap. Well, anyways, I have Jutt Huffman with us here today. How's it going, man?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. I was sort of looking through some people to get on this show the other day, and I was going through emails. I was like, oh, Jutt, because we spoke about it a long time ago.
Yeah. We were going to do it probably last summer, right?
Yeah.
I was playing every Wednesday, and it's hard to fit it in, and then I'm really glad to be here, man.
It's good. Man. No, it's an absolute pleasure. So why don't we just start all the way from the beginning? And you're very, one of these people who's got kind of music in their bones. So I'm just curious, when did you start playing music? And when you were young, did you have lessons? Were your parents supportive? That kind of stuff?
I think looking back when I first started, you remember those? It's like a little xylophone for kids.
Yeah.
It had like different colors on it and probably like 8, but I remember just doing that and like doing songs on it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
really tiny, probably 3 or 4 or something like that. And then, like when you're in school, did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in the UK.
Accent in the UK.
Yeah.
Do you do like at school? Do they have that?
Yeah, we had great music at our school.
Yeah,
there was like choirs and bands and we had a music class too.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, same thing here. I played a recorder, little recorder things, and then it moved up to like an alto recorder. I sang a little bit at church, and then a clarinet actually.
Nice.
And my dad was always playing guitar, and I wanted to play guitar.
Sure.
I'm like, I want to play guitar. And he's like, you're too young. You're not old enough yet. And I'm like, oh, come on. And then 8th grade, there was a kid at school, the last day of school, and he was in the corner of the gym just jamming, playing the guitar, a bunch of people around him. And I'm like, what? Like, you can play guitar. This is like before internet and all that stuff. So, you don't just see like kids playing guitar everywhere. And I ran home and I'm like, Dad, I need a guitar. And he goes, well, if you want a guitar, you got to go get a job. And I'm like, what, 12 or something?
Where did you grow up?
In Ohio, in a little town called Pataskala, Ohio. It's there's cornfields everywhere. I grew up in like a hillbilly hood.
Gotcha.
And so I went all around town, couldn't find a job anywhere because I wasn't legally old enough to work. They're like, you can't work yet until you're like 13 or something.
Yeah.
So my dad got me a job like picking up trash and pulling weeds.
There you go.
Making like probably, I think it was like $5 an hour if I remember right. And I saved up a little bit to buy like a little Squire Strat. Oh,
sick. The fact that he made you pay for it, I think is a very good life lesson,
Oh, yeah. It's very, I mean, it taught me a lot. I've been working ever since. He tricked me into starting work at 12 years old. I've been working ever since.
Yeah, the amount of hilarious jobs like that I had. But my parents were nice about it. They were like, mow the lawn and you get like $10 kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do all those odd
Hey,
things.
whatever
around it.
works. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it started with that Squire, and my dad showed me the basic lessons. He stuck me on just rhythm. He wouldn't even show me any chords for like a week at least, and I was playing for hours a day, just playing like this.
Your dad sounds like a very wise man.
Yeah, the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Just learning the foundation. Then he taught me a few chords, and I'd start playing it, and he'd be like, "Okay, let me know when you got it." And I go, and he's like, "Nope, that's not it. You got to keep going, keep practicing until it's like perfect, basically." And then after a while, like 12-bar blues, and I'd have those guitar magazines.
Yeah.
That would like have the tabs, and I tried to figure that out and could kind of do it a little bit.
There's a just to go back to that rhythm thing. It's something that is so important because if you teach people little bits of melodies and chords and stuff, it's not anything without a solid right hand. The right hand is like you could play no chords and play a good rhythm, and it would be better than the other way around. You know?
A lot of like mandolin is kind of like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of percussive stuff going on that sounds awesome without really hitting a chord.
That whole sort of lesson of, down on the strong beat and up on the weak beat, 1E and a 2E and a 3E.
Yeah.
And I love it. So that's what your dad had you doing?
Yeah, but then there was kind of like, okay, now skip some, keep your hand going.
Yeah.
Like 1E, and or I don't count very well, but like 1E, skipping that, but keeping your hand moving, and then it just turned into like, oh, this is fun without even knowing any chords. You start messing with it, and then that's all you know. Then you're just playing percussion at that time, which really is the foundation, I think, of all music, really.
Yeah, definitely, and it's something that I really sort of stress the right hand when I teach, but I think I'm just going to start doing that. No chords until you can do it. That's actually a really good idea.
You can lose a lot of attention, though, from kids that don't really want to learn.
Well, that's the truth of it.
That's the hard part.
I think that's why I haven't done that, because I'm worried about it. But I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see how it goes down.
Isn't it great? Because I've given a few lessons over my life, but it sounds like you're doing that a lot. Isn't it great when you tell a kid go home and learn, then they come back and you can tell, like, oh, they practice.
Yep. It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, and you can tell when they don't practice too, and you're like,
No, it's really great. And I had a lesson with one of the guys I teach yesterday, and then I taught him again today because of some makeups or something like that. And I was like, oh, have you practiced? Kind of joking. He was like, yep. And one day in between his lessons. So yeah, I think that guy's really awesome.
Awesome, yeah, it's great.
It means the world because it kind of makes you feel like they care about what you're saying to them.
It makes you feel like you're doing something good when if I try to teach somebody after the second lesson, if they're not practicing, I'm like, I go to the parents like, sorry, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Have somebody else teach them that if they don't want to learn, they don't want to learn. It might be my problem too, like I'm not the best to teach somebody. I try to be, but
well, it's a fine line with teaching between sort of being easygoing and being stern at the right times.
Yeah.
It's an art form, that's for sure.
Well, I just found out I'm having a kid. So now I'm like, I got to get good at this. I got to,
yeah.
Can't be like the asshole dad. So
like everything is, trial and error, it's practice.
Yeah.
So where were we up to? You learned your chords and you're growing up. Let's get back to that.
Learned the chords, learned a 12-bar blues. That's around when I started listening to like Stevie Ray Vaughan Hendrix and all that, but Hendrix was just I'm like, I'll never be able to learn that. And like Van Halen. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll never be able to learn that. I tried and it's like not even close. But Stevie Ray Vaughan was the one that like got that shuffle, that Texas shuffle going.
Yeah. Pride and Joy with the bass line at the same time as the chord and all that cool stuff.
So I got a little bit of that, but even before that, it was more like, I think maybe John Mayer is even what got me to Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Interesting.
And then the whole percussive thing that we're talking about was Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was like, dude, that was like my wheelhouse. I was trying to learn all that.
Yeah. Have you heard of a guy called John Martin with a Y? John Martin. He's a Scottish singer-songwriter. He's dead now, but he he's one of the first people in folk to really percussively, like in the 60s and 70s, he was doing that whole ding, jack, ding, 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 ding. Sounded like Jack Johnson kind of in the strumming, in the way he strummed. But yeah, he was doing that forever. He was like known for it. Yeah, you should check him out.
Yeah.
I don't, he's a little bit of an acquired taste, but there's a couple of tunes. May You Never is a beautiful one by him.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Definitely have to check that out. John Martin with a Y.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, all right, you're up to Jack Johnson, and then how old are we at this point? Are you in your early 20s now?
No, I'm still very, I got good really quick because I was practicing 4 hours a day, basically.
Oh, sick, okay.
And I did sports and got pretty good grades. And in my free time, I was playing guitar. I just wanted to play. So I got good pretty quick. And so that was all probably like 15. I started about 12, so probably like 14, 15.
I started when I was about 12 as well.
Yeah. I think it's a good age.
Yeah.
My dad might have been right, but like you're not old enough, you're not ready yet. Because a lot of kids can burn out right away because it's too hard and they don't have the attention span maybe.
It's tough on kids' hands at the beginning. You know, it hurts their hands.
Oh yeah, I remember those calluses. They still come back if I take a week or two off without playing. Yeah, they'll come back when I do a few gigs in a row.
Yeah, for sure.
Like during COVID, that's when I really experienced a little bit of that. I just stopped. I just stopped for a while. Didn't have to. My voice came back. It was roughed up, and that was a wild time.
Right just before and into the sort of first little bit of COVID, I went into treatment because I was, an alcoholic. So I did the first bit of COVID for me was just no guitar at all. Like they were all trying to get us to play it like when we were in there, and I don't know, didn't want to. Was in the mood about it all. But then when I came out, it was just way less gigs. I can relate to that. Yeah, it took a little bit of a break, but I got itchy feet pretty quick. We were doing all sorts of live streams and stuff like that. Yeah. How often do you play live?
I mean, I'm trying to do a lot less. When I was in Nashville for 10 years, and I swear I was averaging about 300, between 250 and 300 shows a year. And a lot of that was like Thursday through Sunday, and then I'd have a few days off. So it'd be a lot of doubles. And in Nashville, you do a 3 or 4 hour gig with really no breaks.
Like we didn't really get into that. When did you move to Nashville?
I was 23. Yeah, so I jumped ahead to COVID. I went from 14 years old to that. But yes, actually, so I just started playing like crazy. My brother played too. We were about a year and a half apart. He was more into drums. Yeah. So he was kind of teaching me drums and I was teaching him guitar.
Sounds like me and my brother.
He was just hitting stuff all the time. I wanted to punch him in the face a lot of times. So annoying.
Sounds like me and my brother still.
But he was teaching me like the paradiddles and all that. And that really, I think, helps. I think when you play other instruments besides your main instrument, it helps play your main instrument by learning that other stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I play a lot of different things, to more or less of a high level. And I think it's weird. It's like a double-edged sword because, some people will say, just focus on one thing and do super well at it. But I kind of did the opposite. I just spread myself out over a bunch of different things. Yeah. And I don't know, it's more fun.
You're definitely more well-rounded. That's more of a producer mindset, I think.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, so we got to Nashville. So you moved over when you were 23. What was it like?
Yeah. Oh, Nashville was wild.
How long were you there?
It was crazy because I never even knew what Nashville was really until about 23. I tried to do music full time in Columbus, Ohio, and that was the only time I went without working. I stopped working for probably 4 or 5 months. Right. And I just didn't have enough gigs to make things work. It just wasn't working out. Sure. And I had to. I
had a couple of false starts like that myself.
Yeah. And I was like bummed. And then I learned a little bit about credit at that point, how not to use it. And so I'd already been like recording it with a little 8-track since I probably started around that Jack Johnson time. Cool. And me and my brother would like smoke a little bit of pot and just start recording stuff and just mess around and just do like, go through, just make stuff up. And that's when I started writing and And then I went to open mics, and people were like, dude, these songs are good. Like, you should record them. And then there was one day, this guy who'd heard me play a few times at this same open mic, he's like, do you have that song recorded? I'm like, no, not really. He's like, well, I got $100. If you can get me a recording of that song, I got $100.
Oh, there you
I'm
go.
like, okay. And then I went home, recorded it on my little 8-track. Next week, came back, and he's like, you got it? I'm like, yeah. Made $100 my first song.
There you go.
I was like, that really gave me like the confidence to know that I can write and do that.
What a nice thing to happen. That's a really interesting story.
It was. So that song's called Precious Things. It's on my first album. I can't remember what track it is. Probably like 2, 3, or 4, right around there. But so that was like around the same time people were telling me like, hey, you should go to Nashville. Okay. You would love it. You would love Nashville. I'm like, Nashville? Why does everybody keep telling me to go to Nashville? What is Nashville?
What is this Nashville?
Yeah, I don't know anything because I'm not really listening to country music at that time. I was raised, my dad told me the only reason to listen to country music is if you want to cry.
Right, okay.
So I'm like, so we just listened to tons of rock and roll. I got into like a little bit of punk rock.
Sure.
And got like kind of went through that phase, but it was
I
still
never
like,
came out of that phase, sadly.
Yeah, hey, that's a fun, energetic phase to be in. I still listen to it like when I'm like working out and want to just get pumped up. It's a little, I don't know. I've always been more mellow when I'm just hanging out. You know, like the Jack Johnson, John Mayer thing. But then I started getting into country music. I got a broken heart, and then that kind of triggered me also.
Oh wow,
got my first broken heart, right? And that triggered me to move to Nashville. And I was I was in an insurance company, and one day a job opened up. I'm heartbroken. The job opened up, says Nashville for the same thing I'm doing. It was like a little bit of an upgrade on pay or something. I'm like, oh, I just applied for it, not thinking anything. And then like a week later, they're like, you got the job. You're moving in 2 weeks to Nashville. And I'm like, I don't even know where Nashville is on a map at this point.
Well, it's pretty cool that you went there with a job rather than just showing up there and trying to figure it out. So that's a nice little bit of a cushion.
Oh, yeah. There's been, from my 10 years there, I've met so many people that showed up and tried to make it. I'd say probably half of them leave within the first year. Yeah. A lot of them in the first month or 2, 3 months, 6 months, and go back home. And that job like saved me. But after about probably 6 months, maybe 9 months, they fired me. Right. And that was the first job I ever been fired from. And so that was
from
like
home at that point.
Yeah, that was like it was like, whoa, what? I got fired. And I'm like, because I was partying all night, like staying up.
It'll do it.
You know, like it's the first time in my life I can play 5 gigs a week sometimes. And then people are inviting you to like pimp suites at the top of these buildings, you know, and like giving you like Johnny Walker Blue and all that. I'm like, what is Johnny Walker Blue? Oh, this tastes good. And next thing you know, you're up till 4 a.m. and you got to be at work at 7 a.m. And after so many of those, it just, you know, that didn't work out. And it was like it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because this is the time, I'm like, okay, well, it's like, I call it jumping off a cliff when it's like you go all in on something. Yeah. And you either do it or you don't. And I already tried once before and it didn't work. So this was like, okay, maybe I can do it this time. Let's try it.
And also, it was a little bit more necessary that it worked this time. You know, it's a long way from home, you know.
And I learned a lot of the lessons that I needed to learn by trying it that first time. Like by failing that first time, it taught me a lot of stuff that I needed to know this time through. Yeah. And the main thing is like how to manage the money I had a little better. So I was pretty tight on it. And like winter in Nashville is really hard.
Yeah. I've been there in winter. It's freezing cold.
Yeah. It's cold, but especially around that time, it's a little different now, but around that time, there's no tourists really coming in. It's like a ghost town from December, January. It's like a ghost town.
Here's a little bit of an aside. I once played in Nashville to no word of lie. We all showed up there, 3 bands with loads of members and stuff, like 3 punk bands, ska punk bands. So there's loads of us. And we played to 0 people in Nashville. Not one single person.
Was that when you went there in the winter?
Yeah. So the promoter just completely forgot to promote it. There was like no one there.
There's a lot of scams out there too.
Right.
There's a lot of I've heard so many awful stories with like booking agents that'll, yeah, pay me 10 grand and I'll book you however many shows. And then you're like, sweet. And then you go to these shows and they're like open mics and you play like one song or it's a gig where there's nobody there and you have to, there's just all kinds of horror stories with that.
Do you, this is something I'm very curious about. Do you think it was a good or a bad thing that there's so many musicians in such a small area? Like, would you say on balance it's better for musicians to be all together like that or worse?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. It's, but there's definitely a lot of bad, there's ups and downs. There's a lot of pros and cons of the whole thing. I mean, there's a lot I miss about Nashville, but there's also a lot I don't. When you get that many musicians together, you're just constantly being inspired.
Yeah, that's
everywhere you go. There's somebody.
Because on one side is like the impossible competition, but then the other side is like inspiration all around you.
Yeah, you can get jaded because it's like, how am I ever going to get that good? Yeah, and then when you start getting better, it's like you realize like it doesn't matter how good you are. It's all about meeting the right person and just everything. There's so many different variables
for sure.
Where
it's like the minimum requirement for being like a successful musician is that you're really good, and then it's like all of the other stuff that you have to figure out because you've got like a bazillion people at this very high level, and then it's like, who do you know, who have you met, and then just like a big healthy chunk of luck, and I think hard work's the minimum. Loads of hard work and being good is the minimum requirement.
Yeah, yeah. So it's, it's crazy. It's I have a love-hate relationship with Nashville for sure.
Gotcha. I figured you might, and it's one of the reasons why I never thought that I would want to move there. It just seems like it would be a lot I think I would just get done in by the fact that like everyone's trying to do the same thing and everyone's like crawling over each other for the same opportunities. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. But what does sound like fun is how much music you get to hear and all the awesome musicians.
How many musicians you become friends with. Yeah. And you get to jam with and you can learn from them. So it definitely you can get better very quickly. I think it's a great learning town. Yeah. And it's a great networking town. And then once you've kind of peaked out where you don't really have to be around it, you can learn by yourself. Sure. For me, I'm better with like learning from people, playing with somebody, playing with another guitar player, hearing how they play live. Yeah. It's like, and kind of just after you play with somebody for so long, you start to sound like them a little bit.
Assimilating their riffs.
Yeah, kind of like sponge each other in. Yeah. And so that's, I attribute like how I've gotten to the level that I'm at from Nashville for sure.
Yeah, and you said that before you moved to Nashville, you went into country. Is it in Nashville that you discovered it?
No, I listened to it with my mom a little bit growing up. Like I remember like in the van, like hearing like Garth Brooks and
it's what's
Chicks,
crazy to
Tanya
people?
Tucker.
This is crazy to people in England is that Garth Brooks is like one of the top selling artists of all time. No one in England believes you when you say that to him because like no one even knows who he is. But then it's like over here he's just huge. It's insane.
A lot of people of the millennials growing up don't know who he is because he's had his music where you can't stream it. Yeah, you have to buy it. He's kept his price really high, and
I respect that.
At some point, I would figure like maybe after he dies or something, maybe it'll be like
all of a sudden,
you can stream him now. He's a great businessman. He's one of the only people doing it. Taylor Swift did it for a while, where you couldn't stream her stuff on Spotify or whatever. Yeah. But that's a whole different topic.
I think it's cool. Spotify and all that stuff. The mess that the record industry is in these days is. It's not like, there is the internet, so it's not like it would ever have been different, maybe, but we musicians, we all just like, we're so happy to give it away, and now it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in a way though, also like labels are kind of dead. They've been dying there. I think there's like 3 big labels really left. Yeah. 2. So I don't keep up with all that.
Yeah, it's because like what would they even do? Exactly. All they really are is like promotions teams now.
Yeah, well now the only way to get signed for the most part, in the country music world, you have to be a songwriter first. You already have to be sign with like a good publisher and in the rooms with the other great writers and getting songs on the radio as a writer. And then once you get so many of those and they know you have a good voice and you find a package, then you can get, wrapped up as a package and like, okay, we got another artist to put on the radio and you're in. It's like a good old boys club. You got to be in. I mean, I can't think of anybody on the radio that hasn't done that. Like Kane Brown, he did it from YouTube,
right?
And he kind of, he's a kind of in the country world, everybody knows who he is. That are listening to modern country.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that's how.
Yeah, that's how it is. And so then as far as I know, with the other genres of music, it's more about your followers.
Sure.
How many followers can you get online without a label?
Yeah.
And then the labels basically they're looking for whoever has the most followers and then buying them, putting them into the deal, and getting them on the radio that way. But other than that, it just seems the cool thing about where we're at with like streaming and all that. You can do everything without a label now. You can literally tour the country. You can make well over 6 figures doing it. Yeah. And selling merch and selling your, recording your own stuff. And it's, I think we're in a really
it's
awesome
like punk rock DIY is like, it now is just, that's everyone now. That's what we're all doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spend so much time, doing social media and ads and stuff like that and just hustling along and booking shows. And you got to wear 20 hats at once.
Yeah, it's tough. It's I struggle with it. I struggle on staying consistent with social media because they say to like beat the algorithms, you have to like literally post every day. You can't skip a day. Yeah. When you skip a day, it screws up everything, and then it's hard, man.
Yeah, at that point you're back to square one, if not worse than square one.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. We have this lady Danielle who does our social media for Killbillies, and she does it every day like that, and it's just worth the money. Like none of us would ever be able to do anywhere close to the job she does. So we just gave it to her.
That's awesome. I need to I'm at the point I think where it might be time to do that.
I tell you, it's a big weight off your mind.
Yeah. I'm such I've always been like such a worker and a hustler. I try to like having control of everything. I try to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's definitely good to build a team that's
Well, if it's someone who you really know well and, you got a good relationship with them and, which we all do with Danielle. She's a good friend of ours. It's like, it's nice working with them. I think it makes it easier like that, rather than just going to some random company.
Yeah.
But I mean, they would still do a good job, even if it was some random company.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like so much social media needs to be done these days.
It's everything.
The Danielle's doing that, busying away in Killbillies and 561 Music. I'm still doing loads of social media as well. You know what I mean? It's just like the absolutely essential stuff has to be there every day as she does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's taken over, really.
So did you ever what you were talking about being a songwriter first in Nashville? Did you ever go down that path at all?
Oh yeah, I've written hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
It was
like, did you do it with? Did you ever get anything?
I never got a sign. I never got a deal or anything like that. And I think a lot of it was you have to be in the right place at the right time. You have to know how to speak to people. You got to be like that personality that's able to hang out with anybody, talk to everybody. I did a lot of drinking in Nashville. It's a 10-year blur.
Yeah.
It's a lot of drinking, probably a lot of wasted opportunities, just drinking my face off. And that was another reason why I moved down here is because I'm like, I got to get away from this. It's like, it's so much healthier living down here in South Florida, for me at least.
Dude, I mean, you're preaching to the choir over here. I already told you I'm an alcoholic, so, I'm not anymore, I one day at a time and all that, but,
Yeah.
But I hear you, man. Great swaths of time can be wasted with drinking. That's for sure.
So, I mean, that could be one reason why maybe I didn't get signed. I also had just so many friends and people I heard of that would get signed and then get shelved. Yeah. And then they're stuck. They're screwed and they can't get out of it unless they pay whoever signed them like $100,000.
Yeah.
So I just, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if that's the right way to go, really.
Well, I know what you mean. it's quite a specific thing. And, you know, do you want to be that kind of packaged kind of country artist, or would you rather have more control over it and do it yourself? Because you can do it yourself, just as we were saying, you know, it's out there. It's a lot of work, but it's for the taking, you know?
Yeah. And also with like being signed or with a label, there's a lot of rules. And I've never, you know, I'm kind of like not an outlaw, but definitely like very rebellious. I like freedom. I like to do what I want to do. And I learned that pretty quickly when I stopped working for, you know, I had like probably 10 or 15 different jobs between the age of 12 and 23. Different little things, you know, you do a job for 6 months or a few years, or sometimes only just a month or so. And just working for people and having people telling me what to do. I'm like, I can't do this. And music gave me that opportunity to have that freedom. Nobody's telling me what to do. And if I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. I might get fired from a gig or whatever, but there's more gigs to go and get. And you know,
it's a good life. It's a little precarious because, you know, it's based solely on like, it's not like you can take sick leave. It's not like you can, you know, if you can't play anymore, the job is gone. You know what I mean? There's nothing. It's a little precarious, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
same. It's kind of, I guess you get used to it. I'm used to it at this point, but for a lot of people that would be starting it, it's so strange where everybody's waking up and doing their 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, where like Mondays, almost every musician has Mondays off. That's like a Sunday basically, and or like maybe even a Friday night. So it's like, and on the weekend, everybody else is out having fun, and we're going to work. Yeah,
and I tell you what, once you stop getting wasted at every show. I completely stopped drinking, but once you don't drink, and you're going out and you're doing these things, it's actually not an unhealthy lifestyle, because if you're not drinking in the bars, you're not going out with everyone. You don't have that thing anymore at all. So, you know, I feel like even though it gets some late nights, it's not an unhealthy life. You know, it's fine.
Yeah. I still drink at the bars mostly. Yeah. I've done like a month off quite a few different times of no drinking, or like 3 months. And I honestly feel incredible every time I do it. But then I celebrate that. Okay, I did my 3 months. I celebrate with a beer, and then it slowly start drinking a little more and more until it gets to a point where I'm like, oh, I think I'm probably drinking too much. I need to slow down. And
well, it sounds like, I mean, you know, the distance between that, what you're talking about, and where I was at is big. So don't worry about it. Good.
Yeah. You're probably one of those people that like hits a switch and just everything goes crazy. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of, you know, people in my family like that, and there's plenty of musicians that I've played with that are like that, where it's like, it's gotten to the point now where I still drink, but I don't get like, you know, wasted at a gig. And if I am wasted, I pull it off pretty well. Like I'm still like, okay, I gotta get out of here, you know. And
totally.
And I'm not like sloppy, falling all over the place. But there's musicians that get like that, and I don't like to tell my guys like how much they can drink. I don't want to tell anybody what to do. Like, you do whatever you want, but if you mess up the gig, or if you're showing like. Because how do you explain this?
If you just look drunk.
Like, it's like, this is my name on it, not just yours. Like, and then down here, especially because down here, it seems like a lot of the musicians down here aren't doing it full time. They're doing it just for like fun on the weekends. Yeah. And they have a day job. So to them, it's not as serious. Where like me, like, you know, I've only been here for a few years. I've been touring down here for probably 8 years. Yeah. Maybe. So like I have a small reputation, but like I want it to be a good reputation. And when I get affiliated with people that aren't able to handle their booze or drugs or whatever, it's a bad look, man. Yeah, and you can only afford so much of that. And I learned that in my 20s up in Nashville. Like, you know, I got fired from a lot of gigs from just saying crazy stuff on the mic. And you can get almost you can get 95% of a room to laugh hysterically and love it, but you get those couple people that are offended, and next thing you know, you're fired from a gig when you're bringing in more money than anybody else, any other bands are. It's wild how everything works. So I try to just stop the comedy so much. And if I do, because I like to talk a lot on stage, I like to talk smack a little bit.
Well, that's useful when you're on a podcast.
Oh yeah. But it helps on stage too, and that's why it's one of the things I noticed down here in South Florida. I don't get to see too many bands, but when I do, I notice a lot of them not really talking to the crowd. They're they're playing their things, and they're maybe talking to each other as a band, and then they're just playing it. And that's a big thing that I learned in Nashville that I don't know if I would have been able to learn it anywhere else. Maybe Key West is great at talking.
Some
smack.
people just don't. Some people just don't learn that. But I think you can. As soon as you are relatively good at dealing with the crowd, you can see like how much better the whole thing is. Keeping them engaged, and if you have like a bit of a dialogue with the crowd, then you're ultimately going to get way more tips, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, it helps a whole lot, especially if you can get good at it and. I guess have your lines. There's some bands, I'm sure you've seen them, where they say almost the same thing every gig. Yeah. And it's like it's kind of programmed almost.
There's like 3 or 4 things that I just cannot stop saying. It drives me bananas. I don't want to say it, just comes out. Yeah. Just a couple of things where I'm like, am I really going to say this again? Yeah. I try not to. I try and keep it fresh.
Yeah, but we all get in that. I still do like the holler and swaller, the Nashville holler and swaller, and that's just fun, And I went through phases where I'm like, I can't say this ever again. I just can't do it anymore. It's a long journey. What a strange trip it's been.
Absolutely, dude. Well, listen, I think now would be a wonderful time to play a couple of tunes. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Let's do it. That sounds great.
I don't know your name, but I know who you are. You're the same as me, a rebel child, old school moving miles. Your feet up on the dashboard, and the pedals down full throttle. You're a ride or die until the end, going out with a smile. And I know you've been drinking that tequila, and I know that the whiskey hurts your head. And I know that there's green in that pipe that you be smoking when you wake up bright and early out of bed. So won't you come with me, living in this crazy dream, through the mountains, the fields, and the deserts. Take a trip across the ocean, the only way of knowing is going where you've never gone, and let your love light show, yeah. You've been running for a while, with someone on your mind. Been burning tires and setting fires, riding that long white line. Some people think you're crazy, well hell they may be right. But either way we're all the same, trying to make the best of life. And I know you've been drinking that tequila, and I know that the whiskey hurts your head. And I know that there's green in that pipe that you be smoking when you wake up bright and early out of bed. So won't you come with me, living in this crazy dream, through the mountains, the fields, and the deserts. Take a trip across the ocean, the only way of knowing is going where you've never gone, and keep your love light showing. Yeah. Woo! Come on, boy. Smooth. Down, hang out, working on new sound, new bus, new gig, headed to a new town, late night bar fight, gonna make it alright, hotel, motel, gotta get your red eye crazy dream. All those prayers you've been saying becoming reality. So won't you come with me, living in this crazy dream, through the mountains, the fields, and the deserts. Take a trip across the ocean, the only way of knowing is going where you've never gone, and let your love light show, yeah. Woo! Ah-ha! Get it, boys. Oh, it's gonna be a wild night.
right, well, this song is called An Angel Like You, and it goes like this.
I've been lost on a path towards destruction. No way to see above it, burning both ends of the night. So far gone, as the moon and stars were covered, darkness always hovered, till you showed me the light. Only an angel like you could love the hell out of me, send the devil to his knees, and make me believe you take me in your loving arms, and you make me see it takes an angel like you to love the hell out of me. I've been a rolling stone, losing my religion, but you turned my rags to riches, girl. You changed my wrongs to right. So far gone that the clouds always hovered, the blue skies were covered, until you showed me the light. Only an angel like you could love the hell out of me, send the devil to his knees, and make me believe you take me in your loving arms, and you make me see it takes an angel like you to love the hell out of me. Oh, I was born to run, there's no stopping me, down a dead-end road, found my destiny, destiny. Only an angel like you could love the hell out of me, send the devil to his knees, and make me believe you take me in your loving arms, and you make me see it takes an angel like you to love the hell out of me.
.561 Music and .561 Music Festival is sponsored by Stenger, Greene and Feiner. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, and then I'm going to tell you how they're helping. So Stenger, Greene and Feiner is the personal injury law firm you can trust to provide the elite representation you deserve. As your trusted personal injury attorneys, you can count on them to fight for your rights from start to finish. They have affordable services. Professional legal aid shouldn't cost a fortune. That's why, with their injury lawyers, you don't pay a penny unless they win your case. Their team of personal injury attorneys has the resources and experience needed to litigate with big insurance companies and deliver the results you want, achieving maximum financial compensation to cover the cost of your accident-related injuries and damages, from medical bills and prescription medication to car repairs and lost wages. Whatever type of personal injury case you bring them, their injury lawyer team can handle it. If you can't visit one of their injury lawyer locations, don't sweat it. Their 100% virtual communication options enable them to handle your case without requiring an in-person visit. Getting the justice you deserve has never been easier. To be real, we're incredibly thankful for them because without them, we wouldn't be able to put the festival on. They have sponsored the festival, and it means that we can pay the bands. It means we can afford to advertise the festival so people know it's happening. And really, it just means we can do it. So the fact that they've reached out to us and they're helping out in the community, it means a huge amount to us. And we just want to extend our thanks to them. And it doesn't hurt that they're a great business as well. They are very easy to find online. Just go to www.injurylawyers.com. It's as simple as that, injurylawyers.com. So you'll be able to find them very easily. You won't be disappointed with their service. They're fantastic. Thank you so much, Stenger, Greene and Feiner. You really have made a difference for us, and you make a difference for a lot of people every day. Backsaver LLC Therapy is located in West Palm Beach, Florida, providing chiropractic care, massage therapy, and physical therapy. They are 561 Music sponsors, and they're helping us put this festival on. We couldn't be more grateful for them. They've done it before, and it's just a huge help. So if you have anything going on with your back in general and you need some chiropractic done, I don't know if that's how you say it, chiropractic. If you need a chiropractor, you could do a lot worse than Backsaver. They're absolutely a fantastic company. I know Hector's had some work done by them, and they do a fantastic job. If you've been hurt in a slip and fall accident, Backsaver LLC will help you with your injuries. The worst thing about slip and fall accidents is you never see them coming. The slip and fall itself can be frightening, and the injuries sustained can be detrimental. If you twist and fall in a bad or awkward position, your body will suffer the consequences. Injuries sustained in a slip and fall accident can be quite costly when it comes to paying medical professionals for treatments and pain relief. Backsaver LLC in West Palm Beach works to help patients recover quickly, physically, and also financially. It's one of those things that when you need it, you really need it. And if you don't think you need it, maybe you do. They're incredibly kind to sponsor the festival. Like I said before, we need all the help we can get putting this thing on. So thank you so much for sponsoring it and helping us with this podcast. We're just trying to bring local music to local people and build up the scene around here. And Backsaver is helping us do it. So thank you so much, guys. Give them a call today at 561-684-8774. That's 561-684-8774. Root. Now, Oasis Root Kava Bar is in Sea Grape Square on Indiantown Rd. And it is a kava bar. If you don't know anything about kava, it's a Polynesian root that you grind up and you mix with water. And it has been in Polynesia for potentially thousands of years. It's an old thing that they used for kind of ceremonial and also sort of leisure purposes. It's meant to be something where, that brings people together. You all take a shell of kava and chink them together and say bula and have it together like that. It's meant to be something to bring people together. It's has a kind of an effect, which is, I guess, a kind of a slightly warming effect. It just kind of makes you feel nice. It's not particularly intoxicating. It's not like drinking alcohol. So the atmosphere in a kava bar is sort of like a cross between a regular bar and a coffee house. It's pretty chill in there. You get all sorts of different types of kava bars. Some of them are more like a club, there's sort of like blacklight and EDM playing. And some of them are more like a cafe. This is one of the cafe type of ones. It's super chill in there. If you're looking for somewhere to, I don't know, maybe go and do some work on your laptop or go and have a chat with friends, it's perfect for that kind of thing. There's a foosball table in there if that's your jam, or baby-foot as they call it in France. And Jim, the owner, is a really cool guy, and he has very kindly sponsored our podcast. So thank you very, very much for that, Jim. They also do a poker night in there, all sorts of things going on at Oasis Root Kava Bar. 561 Music is sponsored by Live Music Community. It's where we film the podcast that you're listening to right now, and it's also where I work. Gavin, Hector's son, was a student here for a long time, and in many ways he's the musician he is today because of the teachers at Live Music Community. We taught him not only about his instrument,
but also about being in a band. And his band, Unemployed Youth, accomplished a lot of goals, mostly band etiquette, how to work together, and all of the nitty-gritty that goes into being in a band on a day-to-day basis. The student signs up for lessons, learns their instrument, joins a real band, and decides the direction it goes in. And we can take people from very young age, 6 or 7 years old, all the way up to 80. There's no age limit here. We run an adult program for people who want to be in a band as adults, but really the main focus is on the kids and getting them playing together and in bands. We are also a studio, a live stream venue. We can record audio or video. The Killbillies live album, Warts and All, was recorded here. It was recorded during a live stream that we did during COVID. Justin had a great idea to record live streams during COVID. A ton of bands came in, and it was a real success. Outside of that, we can record albums, we can help you with your EPK, and we have full audio-visual capabilities here. LMC is in Palm Beach Gardens on the northwest corner of Military Trail and North Lake Boulevard. And if you go to livemusiccommunity.com, you have all the information you'll need right there.
Okay, so we just listened to some ads for Live Music Community, which is where we are sitting right now. It's a school. So it's at this point in the show that we always ask the guests, do you have any advice for upcoming musicians?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is practice as much as you can. And if anybody tells you there's only one way to do it, I would always be questioning that, because there's so many ways to do it. And anybody that tells you there's only one way to do it they probably don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But as long as you're practicing as much as possible, listening, be a music listener first before a music player.
I feel like that's something I had to learn. Like I tried to skip a lot of that, but at the end of the day, you can only reproduce what you understand and what you've heard before. So you gotta listen to music for sure. As
definitely.
Much as you can.
Listening to it is. I feel like I'd a lot of times I'd rather go to see one of my favorite bands than to play a show myself. I mean, not always. It depends on the show, I guess.
Sure.
But I think another great thing is if you think that you're going to be doing music for a living, make sure you have a backup plan. Like, have some kind of skills, like like any kind of even if it's just a blue collared skill, like plumbing or electric work or mechanic or whatever, or go to college and get a degree or something. Have a backup plan, because this is a crazy life if this is all you're doing. There's a lot of risk involved. It's very risky.
No, definitely. Teaching and all that kind of thing is become because I had a music degree. So that's kind of become my other thing, which is still in the music world. So it's I feel like it's all right. And
it's still a trade. It's still like you want to have some kind of trade. Yeah. And I'm like kind of how you were saying with music, you're like kind of a jack of all trades with that. Like I've learned a lot of swinging a hammer and all that stuff. Like I built some guitars and
you know what? You don't have anything to sing about unless you've lived a little bit either. Yeah. It's like, what are you going to sing about? Like you end up writing songs about writing songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we were just listening to two tunes that you played. Could you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah. So, Crazy Dream, it's like the fast bluegrass one. That is the title track to this album I'm releasing. I keep postponing the date.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, we were just talking about this before the episode about kind of being like a perfectionist and as a musician, I've heard from a lot of people, it's an artist thing where you hear your own work or you see your own work and you're like, oh, and you start nitpicking all the details and changing it over and over again or whatever. I've been doing that now for 4 months.
What we were saying earlier, and this is something that I've been thinking about recently, is that if you're mixing your own music, you literally are fine-tuning and training your brain to hear mistakes in it. And so after a certain point, you're never going to listen to it and think it's right because all you're listening for is mistakes. You've just trained your brain to do that, you know?
And sometimes the mistakes are what is great about it. There's so much music that, I know I'll go to a live show of, like hip hop or stuff with backing tracks and all that. And it sounds so perfect. It's like it just sounds like somebody hit play up there.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like there's no feeling. I think the mistakes are what makes stuff so awesome. Like a lot of jazz is mistakes. Who is that? Is it Miles Davis or I can't remember, Les Claypool or something? Somebody, Victor Wooten maybe.
Okay.
But it said there's like no wrong note. It's the note you play afterwards that makes it wrong.
Yeah.
So there's just I think it can be the same thing with timing. Like timing can be like if you listen to Willie Nelson, his timing is all over the place. He like conducts and leads his band with his timing in the notes that he plays.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing I'm trying to get out of is just be like, okay,
flat,
it's done. It's done. Stop. Just stop. Just send it.
Yeah.
Send it to mastering. Send it to finish. Just be done with it.
Yeah.
And I'm about at that point right now. So
okay, well, I mean, it's a good point to be at. Like this is basically done. Yeah, your hands off at this point. You should just play it to someone you really trust and be like, "Is it all right?"
Yeah, exactly. But most people that I really trust with it, it's like they're like, "Yeah, sounds good," and it's like I want to hear what doesn't sound good. So
yeah. It's really difficult to get people to do that. Luckily, I've got a couple of friends who will give it to me straight. Justin, who's doing the sound in here, usually gives it to me pretty straight, and so does my friend James. He's great with that. He'll be like, how is it good? He'll be like, no, there's this wrong with it, and this and this. So yeah, I value that kind of response so much more. What was the other tune you played?
The other one is a song I wrote called "Angel Like You." I'm actually growing out my beard and everything for this music video.
Right on.
So if you listen to the words, it's about just a woman saving my life, or I guess if you're listening to it, and maybe she saved your life. And the video is basically just going to be me, just kind of how I've been through my 20s. A lot of these songs on this album I wrote, 5 years ago or so.
Right.
And I've just taken this long to pick the right ones out to put on an album. We're dropping it on vinyl and all that. But so the video, I'm just scraggly and drinking out the bars, getting in the fights, getting arrested, waking up on the sidewalk, and then a beautiful woman comes up. She's like, hey, are you okay? Are you all right? And and she picks me up and dusts the dirt off. Next thing you know, she's cutting my hair, cleaning me up and everything. It's going to be a whole shift.
All right, you've really been redeemed by this woman. That's cool.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to do a music video that's more of an art piece rather than the ones I've already released are more like just live kind of everybody's partying kind of scene, or it didn't really have any substance to it as far as art. I mean, great shots and angles and all that, but this one is more, I want it to be like in black and white, kind of like the old, like old film kind of look. And then she's cutting my hair, and as she's doing that, it starts turning into color. And then next thing you know, I'm just this different person, cleaned up, good.
Nice.
And
it
then
sounds really good.
proposing to her, and then it keeps getting more colorful. Next thing you know, she's having a baby.
Oh, there you go.
And then it's that's like the end of it. So
you should keep going. You should both get old, and then one of you should die.
it would take a long time to do that video, but that's the whole point, right? And the cool thing is it's all true right now. It's about my wife Angie, and we just found out we're having a kid and everything. So
that's so awesome.
we got to get. She's already starting to get a little bit of a belly bump. So I'm like, we got to get this started now. I've been trying to grow everything out, and it's time. We got to record this
that's
first part.
That's really interesting. So she's going to be the woman in the video.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then in about 6 months from now, we'll jump ahead, and now she has this big old belly, and
that's a great idea for a video.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we do it right. So that was that video. That's a sneak preview to it. I haven't released the song yet, and I probably won't be until fall.
Yeah,
because she's due in the fall, so it'd be right around then.
So that's going to be the first release.
That's well, I have 2 other videos I already recorded. One called "Women, Ways, and Whiskey." We just recorded that. We got about 50 people to come out to the Bahamas on a cruise, and
there you go.
Just recorded it out there. Just Just
So
got
it's
as
hard
many
life,
girls
isn't
as
it?
we could find around the beach, and there wasn't a lot. I wish there would have been more, but we just got a bunch of them. I'm playing the ukulele, and everybody just partying. Real simple video.
Sure.
And then I have another one.
Sounds like a lot of fun to do, though.
Yeah. The next single though, it's coming out called what's it called? Whiskey Hellbent Angels. I wrote this one solo. In Nashville, you write a lot of songs, but with a couple people,
Yeah.
like 2 people or more normally. But that's one of the things I learned leaving Nashville. I kind of knew it before, but when you don't have other writers that are writing all the time or are used to writing with somebody else, it gets difficult. So I just started writing by myself, and I'm like, dude, these songs that I wrote by myself are better than the songs I write with people.
Interesting.
I mean, not all of them, but some of them. And this was one that I thought is a great song. I'd like to get Morgan Wallen to hear it. Would be perfect because I think it's his kind of thing.
Yeah, wicked.
But we recorded that one. I just got a bus. It's a 35-foot RV, and in the fall I was driving all around Nashville with my buddy recording, and it's like a party and drinking song, like getting over a breakup, and I'm just walking around the street with a bottle of Jack, and just hitting a bottle of Jack, and just complete rock star mode. Which I'm glad we did that, because now that I'm about to have a kid and everything, I'm like, okay, we're gonna switch to, it's gonna be a new Jutt after this.
Yeah.
This album's like the one with all the ragers, and now I'm gonna tone it back.
Gotcha.
So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, man.
But the Crazy Dream one though, that's the title of the whole album. It's called Crazy Dream.
Okay.
And that's the bluegrass thing, which I think I'm really pushing towards more of a bluegrass and
Well, that's
rock
good to
and roll
hear.
thing.
We need more bluegrass in this world. You can never have enough.
For
It's
sure.
my favorite.
Yeah. There's Billy Strings right now bringing it back.
Yeah, man, exactly. So we have a picture of your gear here, like a couple of pictures of your gear. Why don't you explain what you got going on here?
Okay, so this is an acoustic setup. My buddy Carl Walkner is a really good looper, and he kind of showed me a little bit of this stuff. So that's what is that? A RC 300,
yeah.
500,
Yeah.
RC 300.
I have one of those. They're good workhorses.
Yeah, it's real simple. The problem you have to watch out for when you're gigging is sand down here in Florida.
Yeah.
You really want to bring I know drummers have to bring like carpet or something, but if you're playing guitar with pedals, you probably want to bring a carpet too. It helps, and maybe play barefoot, and shake that sand off your feet. But so that's a loop station. I do a lot of like beatboxing.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
for
Me
my
too.
solo shows, just to make more of a production.
Yeah, that's
And-
how I do the drums as well. Yeah, when I do solo
It's
shows.
fun. It makes
Yeah.
it impresses people. I think it just shows that you have a little bit more talent than people that aren't doing it.
Yeah, totally.
So there's I use that, and what I'm pushing through there is I think the first in the chain is a vocal processor called a harmony singer that you plug your guitar and your vocals into it, so it hears what chord you're playing.
Is it TC Helicon one?
TC Helicon, yeah, sounds right. And then
I just got a
so if
vocal
you
doubler by those guys.
it's a great company.
Totally.
And so it harmonizes compared to what notes you play. So if you play the wrong note while you're doing it, it's going to sound bad. And if you sing the wrong note, it'll sound bad. You really have to be on pitch singing, and your guitar, you have to have the right chords.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the one next to that? I can't see.
Then there's an octave pedal.
Yeah.
It's a bass octave. I think it's an octave 3 or something. It's a brown
it's
one.
the classic. I have an
awesome.
OC5 and an OC3, but I still use the OC3. I think it's better. I don't know.
It works for what I'm doing. I'm a real minimalist when it comes to stuff. I just like having good tone, and that thing works for me.
Yeah.
I think Carl Walkner uses a different one. He's always switching his gear. He just now started. I think he's endorsed right now by the new Ed Sheeran loopers. So he's
nice.
He's showing the world all that stuff. But
the one that I use for looping is the Electro Harmonics one, and it's almost like a bass. It sounds exactly like a P bass. It's like amazing.
That's badass.
Yeah, totally.
That's as good as it gets right there.
I know, yeah. But you
heck
can't do it and play at the same time. Like when I'm doing it and playing at the same time, I use one of those where you can set the thing, so it doesn't go all the way up to the high strings. This one, you can't do that with it. But if you just play it like a bass, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I try to. So the Leafy Greens, they play around here.
Mm-hmm.
Billy uses I think he uses that one.
He's got the OC5.
Okay.
Like it's the one where it just plays the lowest note of the chord. Yeah.
Well, he makes it sound awesome with just one guitar.
Yeah.
Just killer musician. But I love how he plays it. I more just use it as a bass track and then turn it off.
Yeah. But yeah, if I'm wrong about that, I do apologize. Me being on such a know-all, but I feel like I was talking to someone about it a year ago, because he just plays the chords. But the cool thing about the OC5, the difference between the two, is the OC5 it can pick up what is your lowest fundamental tone, and then it replays that down an octave.
That's badass. I didn't know it did that.
Yeah,
I thought he was just playing so well, like with that in mind, that it goes up to like the 12th fret or whatever.
It's a little bit of both. It's like you can't just have it do all the work. You got to kind of learn how to play it a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm sloppy with it. I've tried it. I can get away with it maybe, but I don't use it like that.
Yeah,
that's tough.
I gotcha.
It's another world.
When we do the duos, I use the OC3. This one.
Okay.
And I just like it more than the OC5 because I've got really used to where that point is. You know, where it just turns from bass into guitar.
Yeah.
I've got super used to where it is. I think it's just because I had one for so long. I just stuck with the older one. I like it.
Yeah, you get used to it, and you just get set in your ways, kind of.
Yeah.
So then up there on the right, that's like that's actually it switches my vocals into my beatbox, so I can do just one mic. When it's time to beatbox, I hit that, and then it switches to the beatbox channel, a beatbox, switch it back, and now I have a higher, it's like out of my actual vocal chain.
Yeah, nice.
So
you just use one mic and an A/B switch, basically.
A/B switch, that's what it's called. And there's a few different, I can't remember what that one is. It's called something really bad. That's why I put tape over it. What is it called? It's hopefully I'll remember it by the end of this, but there's a few of them. They all do the same thing. And then it's just a Polytune, just regular tuner. And then I have a little compression pedal right there.
Dude. That's helpful for the looping.
Yeah, that one, I don't really care for that one too much. I have a better one, a Keesley, but I keep that on I got vintage Keesley. I keep that on my electric rig. I did have a hybrid rig, but I was running into so many problems with like stuff cutting out, and I couldn't find it, and I just took everything apart, switched it back to 2 rigs. And
I got a compressor recently, and I'm absolutely in love with it. But then it's one of the knobs is broken. It drives me nuts.
No.
It's one of those UAD ones. It's the I can't remember what it is. Doesn't matter. Anyway, carry on.
Well, a compressor, my opinion of it is you can get just a little. You can get a little bit loud. You can use it as like a loudness thing.
Yeah,
but I like to use it just to fatten it up a little bit, and just use it for playing leads. Really, everything else, I don't really like. I like just being able to have no compression on it. Really,
I find that most ones designed for guitar, like guitar pedal compressors, they're not like a studio compressor. They have more of an effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't. They don't react the same way like an actual compressor in the studio would react. But But then recently, some companies have come out with ones that are meant to emulate studio compressors, and I got one of those, and I do enjoy having it on there. But I don't know. I turned it off the other day by accident. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's why my guitar sounds like better without it."
A lot of times, I think it does sound better. Like I said, I like to use it for leads, or you can get a little sustain out of it, or whatever. That one has too many. I like simple when I'm playing. Sure. I just like simple stuff, and that one's too complicated. I think that one's called an Earthquaker, if I'm right. Earthquaker, Wampler or something.
Yeah, Wampler's great.
I'll use it for playing lead, just to warm it up and be able to like finger, because I play with a hybrid pick, so I play with a pick a lot, and then I'm also using it's like claw, kind of like a banjo maybe.
Yeah, sure.
But then when I play lead, if you want to have those tasty, like Mark Knopfler kind of tone, a compressor helps that with a lot of stuff. I think a little bit, and then the other thing I got up there is just it's called Dirty Duo.
There you go.
Somebody gave me that a few years into Nashville, and like, here, dude, try this, and it's basically it's a 2 overdrives in 1 pedal, so you can really adjust. You can get you can get about any rock sound out of that thing.
Nice.
So that's my acoustic setup.
Yeah, cool. Let's take a look at your electric setup.
So so I just go through that Keesley, 70s Keesley compressor. There's some gigs I'll leave it on the whole time. That thing's badass. It only has 2 knobs. It has volume and compression.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I'm going to look that up.
Those are great. You can find one. They're awesome. And just the Vox that was one of the first pedals I think it was the first pedal I got, was that wall when I heard Hendrix.
I think the wah pedal was my first one too.
Like,
we have a lot in common, you and I.
And then that's a AC booster.
Right.
What company is that? It's the yellow one. It's an AC booster. I can't remember. Exotic? I think it's Exotic AC booster. I got that because there's a guy named John Osborne. He's just a beast of a guitar player in Nashville. He plays for the Osborne Brothers.
Right.
And I saw him one time with Brian May.
Wow.
And Joe Walsh.
Right.
And nobody knew who John Osborne was. He just kind of walked out there and they're like, "Who the fuck are you?" And Brian, he just matched Brian May's tone. He sounded exactly like him. Brian May's like, "What?" So Joe Walsh is playing solo, and Joe Walsh keeps looking over at Brian May and goes, Brian May's like, "No, let him go." And then he's like, "No, you go." And it's like Brian May respected this guy that it seemed to me like he'd never met him before, didn't know who he was. And John respected Brian May so much, they just both like, "You're going first. I'm not even." I don't think John even wanted to play lead. He just wanted to be on the stage with them, just playing rhythm.
Sure, yeah.
But Brian was like, how can you get the same tone that I have? Like, he just matched it perfectly.
That's amazing.
And so it ended up being like a 9-minute Joe Walsh solo.
Oh, wow.
and I was pissed because neither of them played a lead.
I don't know what an AC booster is, I don't think.
Well, there's an RC booster and an AC booster. They're both overdrive.
Right.
I think the AC booster is less overdrive.
Okay.
And it's real subtle, where this one's a lot harsher, and I might actually switch to the AC overdrive. This one sounds freaking great.
Sick.
But I mean, I keep the gain or the it's a gain pedal, not overdrive. I mistake those two a lot. They're similar to me.
Sure.
But so I put the gain up barely on it,
okay.
because I just got the amp I'm using it's a 69 Deluxe Reverb.
Yeah,
it's a dream amp. I just got it.
It really is. This is the real version of the amp I have.
Yeah, it's got the same tubes and circuitry as like the 65s, but it has a silver face because there was like a couple years there after the blackface circuitry or whatever. They switched it to silver face, but it's still the same circuitry. But it's like a $2,000 difference in it. When it's the same amp.
Because people don't know.
Yeah, it's the same amp. So
that's amazing.
I got that, and I'm just blown. It's like the tone I've been wanting for so long. I've been using a Blues Junior for years, which is still a great amp.
That's an awesome
It's like
amp.
boxy though. Like this, it's what I've been wanting.
It's the Cat's pajamas.
I've dialed my tone in. Finally, we're like, okay, I'm ready to do an album with this thing.
Sick. And then you got a Tube Screamer on there. I've got that one.
I've had that Tube Screamer forever. That was the second pedal I ever got. I really want to get an 808. Some of the best tone I ever heard. When I really got into playing drums hard, I just played with me and another guy, and he had a Marshall JCM 2000 half stack.
I have that
with an 808 Tube Screamer and the TS9 Tube Screamer. You turn them both on. This thing is just it sounded incredible.
I'm going to look up. I don't know, but so 808 that's just one of the eras of
808's when like Stevie Ray Vaughan and I don't know if Hendrix used one, but around that time, the TS9 came out in the 90s, which is
that's
just
the
different.
One. I have one of those, and then I have like a really new one that came out and it has like a tube in it.
Yeah. There's a newer one now that's, I can't remember.
It's like that white one that has a tube in it. I can't remember what it's called either. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I just picked up that's like a little chorus pedal I've been messing with.
Cool.
I picked that up over at the amp shop for like, I think it was like $15-20. I'm like, let's try that. And then the last thing on there is called a Fab Overdrive, and it's actually like one of my favorite pedals. And it's only, it's like, I think I got it for like $15.
Sure.
And
I know
when
the
you
ones,
turn that thing up, wow! Like it gives you all the Hendrix stuff that you want.
Really?
The crazy frequencies where it's just super feedback. It's like. It's a really solid pedal that's really underrated and super cheap, but I can't get if I have just my Tube Screamer on or even that RC driver or AC driver, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do it the same. Whatever that does,
get you there.
It does something really special and like voodoo.
That's good to know.
But
I'm gonna look. We had like one of those sets. So you know how those pedals, you can get them where they all come in this like plastic thing, and it's all the fab pedals like together.
Yeah, you like try them all out. Like,
well, they had that. We do this thing here called Give and Let Give, which is where people bring, it's like a gear exchange thing. I think Justin was talking to you about it before.
I would love to be there next
man.
That sounds awesome.
And someone brought some of those fab things and the box for them all to go in. So I ended up like, on the second or third one when no one was taking it, I ended up grabbing it because I'll be like, I'll be the person who puts it all together, and then I ended up giving it back to the time after. Never got around to it.
Yeah, I think it's Dan Electro.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and they're like, it's made out of plastic, really light.
Yeah,
and I don't know, that pedal just has worked for me for a long time.
Sick. I didn't know they were good. That's awesome. Yeah. Good to know.
And that guitar that I had there, I built that Strat during COVID. I went back to doing carpentry. And there's a big tornado that went through Nashville, really messed up Nashville. And there's a church in East Nashville that was built in 1900 and had been through like a bunch of floods and fires and tornadoes, and it's still standing. And we went in there to renovate it, and they had this wood from the rafters that fell down, and it turns out it was heart pine, which it went extinct in 1900. They call it old growth pine.
Sure.
And down here, it's called Dade County pine. It's from...
It went extinct.
Extinct in 1900. Chopped down all the trees, all the original trees in America.
Such assholes,
all the original pine trees are gone. So now, that's why the pine is so like flimsy now and like bends real easy. This stuff is like, it's basically like oak. The hardness of it. It's real sappy too, so bugs won't touch it.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of that wood, enough to build probably like 20 more guitars.
Serious? That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's like I'm trying to this summer I want to just get all the bodies done.
Yeah, dude. And, I'll buy one of those guitars. I feel that's cool.
I mean, the tone it still has like square nails that are sticking in it and like cut right through it. And it's only, what was it? It's 12 and a half inches wide or 13 inches wide, and Strats are like 14 inches wide.
Sure.
So I couldn't go all the way out, so it stops right at the top, and then there's the brine right here. Stops at the top, and there's brine, and then it just goes back. So it's like so custom.
Yeah,
nobody else has one like it. So, and it sounds like a Hendrix. I put all 58 custom Fender pickups in it.
Yeah, man.
So it just sounds like an old Jimi Hendrix Strat.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, I love playing electric, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too, dude. So, what have you got coming up? What's in the pipeline for you?
Well, besides that album, I'm really hoping to drop a single here within the next couple months. But besides the album, I thought I'm having a kid, so I was going to be on tour again this summer for at least 3 months, and I had to cancel that, chop it up, and now I'm going to have my first summer down here in South Florida.
Wow.
I've been like a snowbird for so many years. Even when I lived in Nashville, in the summertime I'd go up north for a few months, and in the winter I'd come south for a few months, and I'd stay in Nashville in the good time of year in the fall and spring.
Who can blame you?
But I mean, that's one of the perks of being a musician. You can, you go, and what amazingly, that's where the tourists go, wherever the best weather is. So it works out really well for doing like a bar circuit or whatever.
100%.
So I got that coming up. Actually, we're playing a private gig tonight for Horizon Yachts at the boat show.
Right.
And then tomorrow, Saturday, we're playing at Bradley's at like 6 p.m. for the boat show. And then...
that would be a good one at Bradley's. That good with the boat show going on?
Oh, it's going to be wild. A lot of times I play to the crowd, so if it's a boring crowd, a mellow crowd, we don't really rage.
Yeah,
but
gotcha.
When it's a rager, we're going to turn it up.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
That's
and then
awesome.
Blue Point, basically every Sunday, unless I'm at...
Really?
Sometimes I do Tiki Fizzy.
I live right there. I can pretty much walk to Blue Point from my house.
Yeah, that's a fun little spot. It's they have really good. You're not into this, but they have really good beer there. They have this beer called Fresh from. is it Civil Society Brewery in
Yeah,
Jupiter?
that's in Abacoa. Yeah.
And it's an IPA that's like, it's probably my favorite beer
Oh,
right now. It's
sick.
really good. So that's one of the things I enjoy going there and having a couple beers and playing by the ocean. But
yeah, it's nice there, man. It's a super chill. I've played it a few times.
yeah.
Actually, you should give them a
Nice.
call.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But I've got all that coming up. And then the big thing I'm doing, this is my first charity event that I've ever hosted on April 3rd in Rudy's backyard in Lake Worth.
Oh,
It's
nice.
it's like a courtyard where starting at 6 p.m. we're trying to raise 20 grand. We're having a bunch of people come out. You're invited. We try and get as many people as we can. We
Sick.
have artwork that we're auctioning off.
Hey, what charity is it?
It's I want it to be my charity, and what my goal is to raise money for kids. I could really do something here with what you guys got going with all the lessons and everything. But how I was saying earlier, like I had to work to get a guitar at that age. There's a lot of kids that come from kind of the same thing I did, where it's just poverty at its finest, and just they don't have the funds to do music stuff and can't get jobs or anything because the world's just a crazy thing. And then they end up getting involved in just bad stuff. I know,
Sure.
especially boys. Like when boys don't have anything to do, they'll get into trouble. They'll find something and
Yeah,
I think music
stick a guitar in their hand. Yeah.
yeah, music saved my life. Like I think of like
Oh yeah.
even like when I did get in trouble, it was because I was bored and didn't have something constructive to do. And
Yeah.
so the whole point is to raise money for kids that can't afford it.
That's excellent.
And then
That's a worthy cause, my friend.
Yeah, get music in their hands, and then also get lessons for them because that's the harder part is doing that. But at this time, for this one, because I haven't started a 501c yet, we got some other people involved. So for this run, it's like the first annual event that we're doing. It's called Music and Art for Change. All the money's going to the lake. I'm not sure the names of them. I haven't looked at the exact names, but it's like Lake Worth Middle School and Lake Worth High School.
Okay, gotcha.
Whatever their actual names are, but and that'll go. We have a whole thing written out of like exactly where the money goes, and it's not
really
just for the music and art. It's for like art supplies and music supplies and all that. But it's also there's kids in those schools that they're like they have holes in their shoes like I did when I was in elementary school, coming to school with holes in the shoes and just stuff like that. So it's actually going towards some of that too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so this is my first time doing it, so I'm learning a lot. I'm hoping that I can learn enough out of this for the next time I can run it more.
It sounds really cool, man.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's April 3rd at Rudy's courtyard.
So we've got 561 Fest coming up, which is extremely exciting. That's on March 30th. It's like next week now. It's crazy. So 20 bands, 12 hours, and it's just $10 to get in. You can't beat it. If you're listening to me now, it means you listened through to the whole podcast, so you must like us. So come to the festival. Listen, Jutt, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're a charming man, and it's really interesting to hear your journey and very thoughtful, I thought. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. It's great to finally meet you.
Yeah, right.
I've been touring down here for, like I said, 8 years, and I've heard about you and your band, and also there's a couple other bands that were 56 Ace is what brought me down here. Actually,
Oh, right.
by the way,
Interesting.
you probably know those guys.
Yeah.
Anthony Capp. I met him randomly in Nashville, and he's like, "Come on down."
Oh, sick.
But Spread the Dub, and then you guys, your band.
Hell yeah, man.
I've heard about you for years. It's great to finally meet you and hang out and learn a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Right back at you. All right. Well, see you later. Peace.
Peace.
It's what we're doing. Come and check it out. It's what we're all